Morning. Thank God it's Monday. I'm very sure people don't really like saying thank God it's Monday, but from me to you, I'm saying thank God it's Monday. And this is Alive This Morning. My name is Tante Azar, and I have Mariam Okay with me in the studio. Mariam, you're welcome.
Good morning,
Good
Tante.
morning.
Dressed in black and white like a barrister.
I think you're also dressed almost in black and white like a barrister
Exactly.
too.
Good morning. It's a beautiful Monday morning, and we thank God for life, for the gift of eating, because it's so hard in the country now.
All right, then we'll go straight to our newspaper review.
So we have some stories that made it to the burning surface of the newspaper this morning. I'm starting with Daily Trust newspaper, and from the window story on page 17, I have Wike Fubara Field continues to put Rivers on edge. Consider economic indices before banks recapitalization. Expert tells CBN, that's on the page 23. Confusion as Lagos Abuja flights diverted over weather. That's on the page 15 of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. The major story as it at 5.6 billion naira wheat project scam. Ex-Nassau boss arrested 11 months after sacking. NAB lobbying for reappointment. Bolts away 32 official vehicles. No comment. DSS, and I know that very soon will be apprehended. ECOWAS court orders amendment of Nigeria Press Council Act, and that's on the page 6 of the Daily Trust newspaper this morning. Federal government raises committee to crash cooking gas price. Tinubu pledges full university autonomy. That's on the page 35. And finally, I have Catholic priest remanded for impregnating teenager in Anambra State on page 32 of the Daily Trust newspaper. I'm moving right to Vanguard newspaper this morning. The burning surface as hardship. More Nigerians opt for loans to make ends meet. Consumer loans up to 34% as inflation, naira depreciation eat up households' income. And I have banks deploy digitization, product diversification to address demand, persistence. All of that you will find on the page 20 of the Vanguard newspaper. Local refineries to begin production soon, says the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu, and that's on the page 9 of the Vanguard newspaper. Obaseki targets 70 billion naira IGR by 2024, 36 of the Vanguard newspaper. How to prevent electoral shambles by Ataru Jaga, and that's on the page 14. And thank God we have someone who is going to do a strict analysis of what the electoral system should look like. And moving straight to the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning, the major story as it that why CBN governor is right and bank recapitalization. It's part, and that's on the page 6, saying inflation, naira depreciation, weakening capital adequacy of banks, want national, regional, international banks to coexist. That's on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. And I have also the window story says Petroleum Minister trades into LPG supply price hike challenges. Page 11 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Obaseki, deputy set for showdown fixed event for same venue. Page 22 of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. Multiple bank charges amid rising inflation worry Nigerians. That's on the page 12. ECOWAS condemns attempted coup in Sierra Leone, and that's on the page 11. Suspense in Plateau over moves to inaugurate assembly, page 23. And I have also we have surpassed our first year good governance target. That's coming from Governor Adeleke of Osun State, page 31. NDLEA nabbed organizers of Osun illicit drug party, tagged on Only Alliance, page 26. And I tell you today that the Nigerian Enforcement Agency is really working. NJC panel meets tomorrow to pick 11 new Supreme Court justices. Ex-CJN Kutigi's son Abiru Samani, others on FJSC priority list favored. And that's all we have on the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning. Moving straight to the Nation newspaper this morning. The Nation newspaper this morning. I have the window story as 134 million dollar AFDB loan will boost dry season famine, food security. Sorry, season famine, food security. And we have also federal government was foreign investors with 100% foreign exchange repatriations. The Nation newspaper this morning, and the major story has it that CBN revises measures to cut food energy inflation. The Nation newspaper this morning. My director is going to be displaying that very soon. I have Adeleke's absence on anniversary day raises dust in Osun. Page 12 of the Nation newspaper. NDLEA swoops on drug party. Arrest organizers in Shogo. Page 7. And finally, I have Shaibu's declaration renews Edo 2024 battle with Obaseki. And I'm moving straight to the Punch newspaper, where I'm going to be dropping the my pen this morning. I have the Punch newspaper. The Punch newspaper. Banking consolidation. Mega bank boasts 10 trillion capital base. Others seek fresh investors. Weber Bank, Fidelity, others set for rights issue. Over 8 national regional banks may require new capital. And subsequently, we have CBN may give lenders 12 to 24 months timeline for capital raising. Central Bank urged to engage banks and stakeholders. And Governor bid hotel councils of Obaseki deputies venue booking. And that's on page 22. Companies raise salaries by 4.6 trillion naira in 6 months, coming from the Bureau of Statistics. Page 32. Lecturers shortage eats varsities. ASU blames JAPA, IPPS, and that's on the page 2. So I'll bring it to Tante. We have shortage of lecturers in our universities, and people in quotes are blaming it on JAPA syndrome. So I hope you are not jackpotting.
We that we are in town, we that we are not jackpotting, we are going to go straight into the lecturing business. So they have no worries because we are here. And this is what we have on the paper review this morning. If you want to see more or you want to read more, you can check out all the newspaper Mariam read this morning. And we'll be going on a short break. And when we come back, we have someone in the studio who we will be talking about some legal issues. We'll be right back. You're welcome back, and just as I've said, we have joining us in the studio Barrister Sylvester Ebunwa. He is a public interest litigator and a private legal practitioner. You are welcome to the studio, sir.
Thank you for having me.
All right, thank you for joining us. We have something that we'll be talking about this morning, and we've been, there are a lot of things that has been happening in the country, talking about how the judiciary has been so involved in the past elections, let me say 2023 elections especially, but let me read something from someone. The Bola Tinubu-led federal government has warned politicians against blackmailing the country's judiciary. The Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice, Lateef Fagbemi, SAN, gave the warning while speaking to reporters at his residence in Ijabo Community, Kwara State. Fagbemi appealed to politicians who lost out at the 2023 election not to throw caution to the wind and start to blackmail the judiciary cheaply. He also urged them to stop making unfounded insinuations against the judges, adding that anybody who has concrete evidence against any judge should feel free to bring forth such evidence. And just as I've said, this has been going rounds, since last week. In fact, since the beginning of this year, the judges have complained on how many petitions they have to deal with, and the off-cycle election came and passed. We have seen how also the judiciary has been involved, and recently we have seen some removing, replacement, and so people have been saying it. People have been insinuating that APC has put some people or has put a structure in place to favor them, talking about the judiciary and their involvement in politics now. So I don't really know, what would be your opinion on that?
Yes, thank you very much. We all know what is happening in our political space today. The citizenry has actually lost confidence, most especially on the issue of the judiciary. That is my primary constituency. Even if I belong to the bar, we have bar on the bench. You know, we have a slogan these days, wherever anybody does anything, tells you, go to court. We have never really had this bad. You know, the Nigeria is almost becoming one of the most litigated nations when it comes to election petition matters because of the foundational issue. The structure of electoral acts is defective. Even the constitution is defective. People don't even have confidence again in the judiciary. Just look at this case of Kano State Court of Appeal matters 2 weeks ago. Situation whereby the respondent having been declared winner. In one hand declaring the appellant a winner, in the other hand declaring the respondent winner. And the court came out to say that is a typographical error. How can you say a 3-paragraph well elucidated upon, he said is a clerical error? What to understand clerical errors to be in a legal dictionary, even ordinary dictionary, can even be mistake or spelling, not 3 paragraphs. You go to court, a session whereby, look at even INEC, that even the electoral body that regulates the conduct of elections, a session whereby billions has been spent on electronic transmission of results. But at the middle of the game, they change the goalpost. Courts are not really help matters. With all due respect to my noble lords, they've not really help matters. The people are not even having confidence again in judiciary. Before now, you see opposition, just like the case of Edo State, for instance, you see opposition winning, a case of Shomole, look at Ondo and all that. But the reverse is not the case. The body placed on the petitioner is so enormous. An election petition is sui generis, it's time bound. You know, it's difficult to prove. Now you will have invested money on electrical transmission of result, and you are coming back to shift the goalposts to say that it's not optional. Basing things on technicalities. We know that these days, you know, right from university days, we said we should go with technicalities and go for substantial justice. What we are saying today is on basis of technicalities. It's judiciary is in a quagmire. We need to do something. We all need to rise up. The executive need to rise up. The judiciary is almost being pocketed. And again, look at the remuneration of the judiciary. It's something that needs to come to bear. The workload is too enormous for them. The bulk of the work is too enormous. And that's, you know, something we need to look into critically. A session whereby the chief registrar of a court receive more remuneration than the judges. Look at the life of the judges. When they retire, where do they go to? Apart from the CJN and all that. So these things need to look in. We need to look inward. It's a foundational issue. Until we deal with the foundation, we deal with the constitution. The constitution whereby we are saying, we the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria were not there. My father was not there. My parents were not there. At the end of the military constitution that has been foisted on the people. Until we deal with those issues, we will not make headway.
All right. So what would you exactly say is wrong with the judiciary right now? What are they? What is right or wrong that they are doing actually?
Yes, it's unfortunate the politicians have taken over the political space. You know, we have 3 arms of government. You know, the judiciary is supposed to be saddled with that responsibility, which everybody looks up to, which is the hope of the common man. But I begin to see the reverse is not the case. A situation whereby a case lingers on, apart from electoral matter that is sui generis out of time bounds, so many cases linger on for long time. For instance, at the moment, at the Supreme Court, we have 11 justices, where they are supposed to be 21. They are human beings. Sometimes of the time, they were rationing diesel because of the poor remuneration, and again a situation whereby those justices will close by 3 o'clock because of poor electricity. You know, poor funding of the court. The court should be autonomous. The judiciary should be autonomous. It should not be under the whims and caprices of the executive. But just like what we are saying today, even look at the lower courts. before you are being appointed as a judge. Let's take it from there. From the appointment process is a problem.
So I have a question, sorry, Tanti, I have a question. Now that you're saying it's so generic, it's more like they are under the whims and caprices of the political people in the political space. And now people are saying that the judiciary has been compromised. Can we have, or is there a constitutional backup for the judiciary to step in, well, you know, to work with the INEC, which is the electoral body, in scrutinizing candidates before they go to the polling units? You know, the case of this man from Bayelsa that was said that
Silva.
Yes, Silva, and they said, okay, after before the judiciary, he met the requirements, and they shouldn't be asking him for 134 agenda or something like that. So I'm thinking or asking if there is a constitutional support or backup for the judiciary to work with INEC in scrutinizing candidates, ensuring that they meet up the requirements before going to the polls, and so that we can have less of judicial cases.
You see, the problem is, it's not just only, it doesn't only beckon on the judiciary alone. It beckons on the political parties. But there are plethora of authorities that says scrutiny of candidates, right from the screening of candidates, is an internal affairs of the political party. We don't have, in this class, we don't have independent candidacy. It must come under the platform of a political party. Wherever you do at that level is to retain the purview of the political party. That's for the political party. As for the courts, you know, court is not a Father Christmas. Wherever you bring before the court, that's what the court will elucidate upon, will act upon. You know, and it's just that Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Situe, is the ground norm. We have electoral acts. We have INEC guidelines. These are regulations that guides the conduct. Just like, for instance, the electronic transmission of result, which is electoral or stated copiously in the electoral act, wherein you are meant to transmit result, you are meant to declare right from the polling unit. I remember Edo election, last Edo state election, that was in 2019. The results were declared right from the polling unit and transmitted right from the polling unit. Even those ballot boxes snatchers, if you like, go and snap ballot boxes, it becomes useless. Look at the case of, but we are so surprised, even at the level of the tribunal, wherein the court said is optional. I won't blame the judiciary 100%, but the same electoral act that says you must transmit election gives the power to transmit the result. In the other hand, you see saying it's optional. So the court is left with no option than to act on what is being brought before them. But because people are not having that confidence again in the judiciary, the people expect the court to act in line with a court of being not just a court of law, but a court of policy, in the sense that to do away with technicalities and bring out substantial justice. A situation whereby, just like look at the case of Kano State, for instance. What you want, a court want to deny 165,000 voters because INEC official refused to sign. If court is setting that bad precedent, tomorrow a politician that knows that is going to lose in a place that is not a stronghold, is a matter of kidnapping INEC official not to sign result sheet, and the court declare that a nullity. Is a bad precedent. So the court needs to look inward so that the people will have confidence. You, outside the electoral matters, you see court cases linger on for so many years. In other clients, it's not like that. People are beginning to lose confidence. Even we at the bar, we in the judiciary, you know, we find it very difficult. At the end of the day, you still turn out. Even a fundamental human right matter that is supposed to be acted upon within 24 hours, 48 hours. I have a fundamental human right cases that have been on for more than a year, and you say somebody's right has been trampled upon. At the end of the day, what will you do? So I will not only blame, the problem is not just only on the judiciary, it's still on the executive. The zealousness of politicians to win at all costs. Look at what happened in Liberia today. In a situation whereby you have a free and fair election, the loser will come out to say that, okay, this election has been credible. You don't have 100% free and fair election anywhere in the world, but look at the credibility of the election. Look at the opposing party congratulating the winner even before the end of the election. We don't have that in our client because of the quagmire in our electoral system.
But Jonathan did that.
I think that was what I wanted to say. I think since Jonathan, I can't really remember hearing any other politician that has come out to say, "Oh, congratulations for winning something." So I think it is high time the politicians agree. Anytime something happens, even though the Attorney General has said it, when you lose, just put it in your mind that you have lost so that, the country can move on. But people have also been talking about how Nigeria is gradually, becoming a one-party state. I don't know what you have to say about that.
Yes, from where we are going, the way things are going, it's becoming like that. It's coming like that. It's unfortunate APC came with an agenda, just wanted to grab power without even knowing what to do with power. The last administration took this country backward for like less than 50 years. I wouldn't really blame this present administration. I still believe we still need to give him chance. There have been rots in the system. There have been a lot of rots. This is a situation whereby you keep borrowing. I remember when governor of my state, Governor Obaseki, stated emphatically a year ago that people they are printing money. People didn't understand. Nigerians don't even know what has happened to their country. It's not a rocket science. This nation cannot do magic until we stop importation. God bless us with these natural resources. Nigeria is a destination that the world is supposed to look inward, to look into. But now, the reverse is the case. We must deal with those foundational issues. You cannot win an election at all costs. Problem we are still having, we must come together as a nation. We should not overcopy everything that will accompany progression of government, wherein what happens on that climb is not in tandem with what is happening here. So we must be careful. Everybody needs to be on board. Look at things going forward. From the way things are going, people have already lost confidence. At the end of the day, Nigeria is most sliding into one-party system, and that is not good for us. Look at what is happening in other African countries. Coup d'etat everywhere. Who says we are not praying for coup in Nigeria, but from the way things are going, if it continues like this, that means our democracy is in danger. Our democracy is threatened. We need to come together as a nation. This is one of the best countries in the whole world. Look at the Jagba syndrome we read just now. People, the best brains are living. Why are they living? Not because Nigeria is the worst country, but because of economic policies. Everybody are feeling the heat. We are feeling, whether you are a rich man or a poor man, everybody will feeling the heat. So we need to come together. The executive this administration, we need to still give them time. But there are things you do that will look as if that will give people sense of hope. Nigerians are patient. They are one of the most patient people. They just want to see indices in place. But we are not seeing those indices.
That brings me to the question that this administration tagged themselves to be a renewed hope agenda. They said an era of a renewed hope agenda. Do you really see, or can you really project that we will be having renewed hope for all Nigerians? I'm bringing it back to that question of unitary party system and multi-party system. Do you feel that even if we have a unitary system of that unitary party system, will there be? Do we have a constitutional backup, and will there be hope for Nigeria to to become fledged again? Because now it seems that we are.
Okay. The APC Renew Hope agenda. Politicians will always come out with different slogan, right from 1999. Even prior to 1999, even 1993, during the time of MKO Abiola, politicians always come up with one thing or the other, to galvanize the people.
Hope 1993.
Yeah, Hope 1993. Now renewed hope. Fine, we cannot still be hopeless. This administration is just started 5 months ago, but it looks as if they spent 2 years because of the hits on everybody. We're still going to give them a chance. And again, we need to look at the bogus nature of policies of government. You know, you have a minister, commissioner that have PA to PA to PA. Governance is too bogus, and you want the people to bear. The people are ready to bear. But you, what are you? The same party in government today. Nobody is talking about those things again. We remember the present, our president, when he was the governor of Lagos State, the way he managed the affairs of the states. People had that sense of belonging. But now, that hope is almost lost. But I will advise Nigerians, I will appeal to Nigerians that let's still give them a chance, because the rot in the last administration whereby the former president was saying he doesn't even know what is really happening. But let's just still have some sense of hope. But if it continues like this, with some of these policies we are seeing, this era of borrowing and borrowing and borrowing, and again, we are not importing anything. I told somebody, I said, dollar will get to 1,500 if we are not careful. So last administration kept printing money. But let's still not lose hope. Let's not still lose sleep. Japa syndrome, I'm not against Japa, but it's not the ultimate. This is God-given country. This is a blessed country. God has blessed us with everything. It's just only leadership problem. Let's still give this administration a chance.
You know, our leaders give, they justified buying the yacht, justified purchasing vehicles at exorbitant prices, and they justified the fact that they really need this. What's your own opinion on their justification for the purchase of those things that are not really needed?
Even as you've been emphasizing on how heated the country is.
Yeah, it is unfortunate. It's unfortunate. Politicians, they just want to grab power for, say democracy is government of the people for the people. It's not government of the people any longer. It's for themselves. A situation whereby I have a guy representing my constituency. This is a guy that wanted to travel out of the country. It doesn't even have 500 naira. It doesn't even have to 1 million naira. It's just because of the Peter Obi syndrome, he was able to get into National Assembly, and now you are giving such a guy a car worth 260 million naira. What does he need it to run constituency? No. Every administration, we kept buying since 1999. We kept buying vehicles. Where are these vehicles? And we are saying the naira to dollar, naira is, we will keep falling. We have indigenous motor manufacturing company in Nigeria, just like Innocent and others. I expect these people patronize Innocent. This money comes back to Nigeria, not taking this money away, saying you want to buy a car for 200 million, 160 million. That's excessive. No, now you are telling the people to bear. How will people bear? People don't even have trust in government. And if it continues like this, that electoral emancipation, that electoral consciousness that the people had before has dwindled down, has died down. Look at what happened in Imo State. How can you say 20/20? You won all the 20 local governments. At the end of the day, I don't want to really go into that. What happened in Imo? We are seeing what is happening in the electoral system. Not to me, we don't even need two National Assembly and Senate. It's bogus. It's hard time we make it part-time. A social whereby politician will tell you, what is your profession? I'm a politician. Being a politician is not a profession. You need to have other things, just like the way it is being done in other clients. So we need to sit down together. Who is going to amend the constitution? Is the same National Assembly? I'm just praying we should not give room for for the collapse of our democracy if we continue like this.
Ante Obasanjo said that we copied the system of government, this very system of government from the United States of America,
Yes.
and we did not copy it well. So what do you think we can do to improve the copying, the duplicates from the United States of America?
Of course.
Looking at the fact that you just mentioned that we have two national assemblies, can we just do away with them? Can we have a constitutional backup? Is there any way we can review the constitution that will suit the separation of these houses?
Yes, the truth is, if we keep doing the same thing and expect different result, it will not work. You know, like other clients, like the presidential system of government we copied from the United States, theirs is not in tandem with our culture, with our people. Over there, there are strong institutions. Here we have strong men and weak institutions. We cannot copy everything verbatim and not expect it to work. Their system is different. Nobody is above the law there. The supremacy of the constitution is supreme. We just say our own constitution is supreme in paper. At the end of the day, somebody that steals a goat is languishing in prison. Unlike this electoral fraud that we see happening today, whereby are being shifted to the courts, wherein because of technicality you are denying 165,000 voters because of the negligence of one INEC official that refused to sign. It will not work. We need to see how we begin to build strong institutions. So many people that are even supposed to even be in jail, that were under the radar of the EFCC are now in government. They're in government. So we cannot continue like that. We cannot overcopy everything. It's good to take the ones that are good. I remember those days, Lisbon came to Benin to study the Benin system of administration. I'm talking about 18th century. They came to Benin. There was already lights in Benin. Even Nigeria say, oh, where have we gotten it wrong? Our founding fathers will be grieving in the grave. This is what they envisage. Even the Obasanjo too, is, with due respect to him, he's a statesman. He had every opportunity to change all this, to change this system. Cannot eat your cake and have it. Cannot eat your cake and have it. Fine, we cannot continue like that. We need to go back to the ground norm, which is the constitution, not the military constitution that was inherited. Nobody thought military were going to hand over in 1999. The con men, the 419s, they're the one that came out. It's difficult to take power from these people. These are the same people that is in the political space. At the end of the day, say politics is for the dirty. We cannot continue like that. We need to rise up. Religious institutions, need to come up. Churches need to come up and encourage our people. We're almost getting there. If not for what we are seeing in court today, if not the way INEC shifted the goalpost, a situation whereby your vote counts. Tomorrow you want to go and vote. I travel to my state, Edo, to go and vote. I won't do that again now when I know that, okay, look at the political system, judicial system is a quagmire. The confidence is no longer there. We need to come back home to have a brand new constitution that wherein all of us sit down and see what will work for us. Not say this one is an Igbo man, this one is an Hausa, this one is an Edo. We are one Nigeria. There's milk and honey in this place. You see other foreigners coming here to tap our resources. They go back, stealing from the system because of the weak electoral system. You see, because of the weak political system. We cannot continue like that.
So are you saying that you're not going to go vote anytime soon? You're not going to vote again in your life? No, you are a legal practitioner. People are looking at, you are a figure. Some people are actually looking and then seeing you as someone who is a mentor to them. I think you have to, no matter how Nigeria is, no matter how
he is Nigerian, and the fact remains that he is human, and he will always, tell himself the truth that I am not going back home to vote.
You are going to vote. There is an election in Edo 2024.
Yes.
Definitely was still good, but there must be an indices in place. Edo election is unique. It's always unique. A situation whereby they always defeat the godfathers. Sometimes the will of people always speak. Sometimes people tell you,
are ready to monitor.
Yes, Edo is not Lagos. Edo is not this and that. Because Benin, Edo people are resilient people. I will still, but I'm talking of the political consciousness generally. That people has a party. Look at the last institution whereby you have 1 million registered voters, you are saying 300,000. No, it's not supposed to be like that. We need to instill the confidence on the people. How do we instill confidence? By the electoral system, from the INEC, from the appointment of INEC chairman, you know, that is where it should start from. Not an INEC chairman that will be under the whims and caprices of the politician. Look at the electoral rec now they are appointed. It's still under the whims and caprices of the executive. It's not supposed to be like that. Until we change this system, we will not make headway in our electoral system.
All right, we are running out of time. So what do you have to say briefly to those Nigerian people who you have been stressing on how they have lost hope? What do you have to say to them before we go?
Yes, I will tell them I want to appeal to Nigerians, to our people, not to lose hope. Not to lose hope. I said there's an adage that says if you cannot fight them, keep fighting them. So I don't believe in joining them. You know, let's tell ourselves the truth. If we destroy this country, we don't have any other country. This is a blessed country. I want to advise Nigerians to still have hope in the judiciary. The judiciary is working under a very difficult situation. They are human beings. Let us come together as one to continue to instill that confidence, that political consciousness for us to determine who rules us. If good men are not, if good men, the righteous rule, everybody rejoices. But if evil people are in power, you say you don't want to do politics, you don't want to be involved, you are a Christian, you are a Muslim. These same people keep ruling us, keep making policies that will affect you and I. Let us have hope. Let us not continue to castigate our judiciary. Let's give those in government. Let's continue to pray for them and do the needful. At the end of the day, we believe things will change for good in this country.
All right, we hope that things actually will change for good in this country. Thank you so much, Barrister Sylvester, for coming, and we really appreciate your opinion this morning.
My pleasure.
And this is all we have for you on this segment. We'll be going on a short break, and when we come back, we have someone who will be joining us, also a barrister, to still talk about the judicial system. We'll be right back.
How you dey rush go now?
See, I dey go my sister house so. Now their baby, her pikin just dey cry all the time. Now so they cry, the pikin dey cry. Day before yesterday, the same thing. Yesterday they call me. Today they don't call me again. I don't tire.
The pikin dey sick.
I don't know. He just dey cry, one strong cry like this.
If it be say the child need to go for genotype test too.
Genotype test? Which one be that?
Genotype test. The one where they go take his blood sample, they go come test time if he gets AA,
okay,
AS, or even SS.
That one sound like something wey go expensive. Oh, I don't get money.
Titus, calm down. Now free of charge.
Free of charge? I beg, where if you do this thing? If
you're ready now, just walk into any primary health center. Ask them, say you want to do test, genotype test, they go do one for you.
My sister, thank you so much. I'm grateful.
Come on. The child don't reach 6 weeks.
Now 4 weeks this child be.
Okay. Make sure not do one before 6 weeks.
Before 6 weeks?
Yes, 0 to before 6 weeks.
0 to 6 weeks.
Free of charge.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much. I'm grateful. God will bless you for me. Thank you. Okay.
This message now from the Center of Excellence for Sickle Cell Disease Research and Training, University of Abuja and Novartis.
Hello and welcome to Live News. The immediate past Minister of Youth and Sports Development Chief Sunday Dare, the federal government of Nigeria has taken punitive action against the sectarian. Nigerians have expressed fear over the possible shutdown of businesses and job losses.
See, things are just going higher every day.
For the fact that going from here to Ombalin day before was at 300, but now is at the high side of 700, 800.
The subsidy costs us trillions of naira yearly. Such as a vast sum of money will have been better spent on public transportation, health care, school, housing, and even national security.
Welcome back. So joining us to further analyze the porous nature of the electoral system and the widespread rumor of the judiciary being compromised is Rexy Jugo Esquire is also a barrister, and he will definitely be doing justice to this very interesting topic. Welcome, Mr. Rexy.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure being here. Good morning, everyone.
Good morning, sir. I have my colleague Tante in the building.
Yes, good morning, sir.
Good morning to you.
All right, thanks for joining us. Thank you, sir.
So, sir, looking at the porous nature of the electoral system and people saying that our judiciary has been compromised, what would you say to that? Basically, using the just concluded off-cycle election as an instance, a very, very distinct instance.
Well, thank you once again for this opportunity. Let me quickly state that usually when perceptions are had by a population or a people, they do not happen upon such perceptions. Usually one thing leads to another. In this case, it is very instructive to state that even though I would agree with those who, stand and say the persecution that the judiciary is, being leveled with today is as a result of individuals who are termed as bad losers. However, it is instructive to cast our minds back to what the former Supreme Court Judge, Honorable Justice Gatijo, said just last month when he was retiring in his valedictory speech. He was the one who came out and made it very clear that he felt that there was a lot that was wrong with the judiciary as it stands today. He talked about the lack of getting the full quorum of justices at the Supreme Court. He talked about lopsided appointments of quorums in various courts, especially that was relating to the electioneering process that had just been concluded. So, if we were speculating before that time, he came out as a former Supreme Court justice and said, there is a problem here. And the truth remains.
Are you there, sir? I think we are having a slight technical issue and
put themselves in a position to be compromised. But there are so many things that, so many bombardments that people started to say, if they're going into elections, they say, this is how much we're going to spend for the electioneering process. And people have been known to say that they also need to keep money aside for whatever will happen post-elections. And what were they talking about? Of course, anybody who is discerning will think to himself, it must be talking about the judiciary. Initially, it was thought to be an unassailable block of democratic tenets. But it is sadly that we have gone to a place whereby even last week I saw a cartoon where someone was saying that the best corruption individual in among professions, and the judge was put out. Very sad. And I sent it around. I said, this is an all-time low, and this perception needs to break. It is going to take a while. It's going to take a time, but the judiciary once again needs to be the last bastion for everyone in this country, and including the common man and the electorate as well.
All right. Sorry. Talking about the judiciary and their involvement in elections in Nigeria. Many people, I think INEC was, before the off-cycle election, INEC said they wanted to, they wanted to change the narrative of how people see them, especially in Nigeria, where, most elections are compromised. And the off-cycle election came, and we were hoping that they will actually, change the narrative, as they said. And coming back to what is happening now, talking about the judiciary and their involvement now, some people, or let me say some parties, were elected and now being removed, and people are not really happy with the outcome of the election, probably because there were issues, and it's not on the voting or the number of votes that somebody has gotten, but it has to do with some of the issues are post-election or pre-election, or I don't really know how the legal people put it, but people have been saying is that the judiciary or the judicial system is not fair to the people because they have voted people and they removed them out of their will. So what would you have to say about that?
Yeah, so like you said, there was, in the build-up to the last election, there was great expectation. Now, the expectation by the electorate was largely due to two basic things. One, like you said, INEC, in the post-1999, 2009, when they said, it was going to be about smart readers. Smart readers was going to be the game changer. If you remember that time. And people came out and said, well, smart readers were going to make sure that we're going to have credible election. And they came out. Then what happened? Then we had issues that came up, and then they came around and said, well, it is not captured by the law, by the Electoral Act at that point in time, so it could not be something that was made mandatory. So people got around getting their camels to go through the eye of the needle without the consent of the electorate. Then it took a while to build up momentum once again and said, BVAS, IREV. Then the question everybody came to ask themselves after all the hurly-burly was done and then the election was concluded, do we not have the technological capacity to actually ensure that people, that the system received the votes per second at the moment they were cast? We do. The kind of monies that has been pumped into INEC can give us all the kind of technology that is real time from all the polling units around this country to be able to gather and collect votes and make sure they count. But what happened? The technology instead became an instrument of fraud, because at that point in time, nobody wanted to blame INEC officials. Now they were blaming the system and said they had about 200 or something thousand attacks, or 2,000 or something cyber attacks, and therefore it was not going to be used. But of course, like I mentioned before, prior to this time, people, the electorate, those who stand for election generally believe that once you take your election petition to the tribunals, you knew what you were getting because the individuals were upright. Of course, over the years, the integrity started getting eroded, and people were not, the system, government, members of the judiciary, had not really stepped up to the plate and made sure that people were not getting those kinds of perception. So what do you have at the end of the day? You have a situation in judgments like that in Hopo Osidima against Ihedioha, with the person who came first being substituted by the person who came fourth. Do you know what that does to the mindset of the electorate? In just that you can explain to some extent how the second person came first after the first one was ousted, but please, the explanation around how the first person can be ousted and then the person who came fourth will take over again was a little too much for the hearts of Nigerians down the line. And things started to dwindle. The fortunes, the perceptions, the hopes that when you go out there to cast your vote, it counts, started to go away. Now I assure you that it is going to take a very long time. It is going to take a lot of doing for the INEC to be able to regain the kind of confidence of the electorate in the next circle election. That they will need to pull a rabbit out of the hat when they have conversations with people, with the electorate, for them to believe that any election going forward is going to be credible. because it is as if we have now firmly been caught up between the proverbial blue sea and the devil. And we're getting clobbered on both sides, and we do not know where we can actually run to. That is the state of our electioneering at this point in time. And for people like myself, people like a lot of my colleagues who believes that we are in a state of growth, that we must keep talking and speak truth to power when we need to, that we need to keep encouraging those who will be sidelined or waylaid by those who have the money and the power, and want to keep those who have capacity out of office. We need to put heads together and say, listen, if you believe that you have capacity, you have competence to be able to drive your office or to drive the process or the system in which you intend to man, then go about it the right way. That you don't need to subvert justice, you don't need to subvert individuals out there. Go out there and do the right thing. We need to keep talking to ourselves. I refuse to say that I am despondent and I'm totally, without hope. But in the meantime, the proper thing needs to be done, which is we need to keep talking to ourselves. We need to keep pointing fingers where we need to point to, and we need to say that the right thing needs to be done, no matter whose ox is God.
All right, talking about regaining hope in the justice system, how can the justice system actually, or how can the judiciary regain the lost hope? Because so many people are feeling like, there is no justice in Nigeria. The judges are being bribed. The justice are being, the judges are being, involved in some of the things that people are not really proud of. So how can the judicial system now regain back its glory?
Now, initially, the way the judiciary was configured, and those who sit on the bench, largely is supposed to be a very solemn place, a solemn arena to be in. And that is why when you're asked to sit there, you are referred to as my Lord, because you're revered, you're put on a pedestal that should be above normal human beings. You are a lord of some sort. Now, with all that has happened and the perceptions and I must also give a negative kudos to the role of politicians in dragging that arm, that pillar of society into disrepute as well. Now, having said all of that, there will be a need to have conversation from time to time, where a statement needs to be released, where examples need to be made of individuals who have been found to be, to have compromised. Examples will need to be done. Now, it is going to take a time of unraveling. People also need to see that our jurisprudence doesn't get charred, doesn't get, thrown into the dust, because ultimately, do not forget that the judiciary has the force of law. When they deliver at the Supreme Court, it has the force of law. So when you have a judgment that goes against the acts or the law or the 1999 Constitution as amended in one form or the other, what you have for the time being till it is overturned by another panel of Supreme Court justices, it stands as the law. And some of the times, unfortunately, no matter how immoral or unlawful some of those law-making processes or they stand as law. So there's going to be, people are going to be watching, they're going to be watching and reading into the subsequent judgments that are going to be coming. So there's going to be a great need for individuals who God has called and allowed all our mere mortals to call them Lord, that they would leave above board, that judgments are, people always, whoever loses a judgment is always going to complain. But for Christ's sake, some of these judgments should not be so brazenly, to the left, like some of the things we have seen in recent times. And I say that with all sense of responsibility and respect. down the line. So it is going to take a bit. And between now and that time, people are going to be watching. Let it be that the optics that they are regaled with are such that make sense, that breeds, that engenders confidence amongst the electorate and people who are just at the sidelines hoping the best for this country that can come out of that system.
All right, so there is a saying that if we do not really identify the cause of a problem, we cannot move ahead. And if we keep giving a realistic solution to each of these challenges without pinpointing the major cause of this problem, we sure cannot get to the end of the matter. So I ask you this morning, sir, that what do you think is the major problem of the judiciary? Not, they have limited independence, and basically we can just say there is no judicial autonomy. So what do you think is the major problem of the judiciary? And looking at the fact that President Bola Tinubu stated that politicians should no longer, ridicule the judicial system in Nigeria, and some people tongue-lashed him, saying that should this be coming from someone who have cases of certificate fraud and all of those things, even though he has been vindicated by the Supreme Court. So I feel I need you to pinpoint the major problem of the judiciary being an esquire, sir.
Well, I just think, the truth remains that a system or a set of individuals are as perfect as the humanity that is within them. And whether we like it or not, people who sit on the bench are human beings as well. They're susceptible to stress, they're susceptible to, getting pressured, they're susceptible to the vagaries of daily life like each and every one of us is. One of the things that we need to do, and it's a collectively, first and foremost, I believe that as within reasonable delineations should not be put in a place where they have so much needs to be attended to that they become targets for money bags. They need to be given that cocoon to be able to dwell in. They need a buffer zone of some sort to be able to make sure that when they sit down in their chambers to write judgments, that they do it free of heart and free of thought, with as much, as much comfort as they can. That is one. Two, we also need generally, as those who are engaged, in politics, governance, to, as much as possible, ensure that they do not put this arm of government under undue pressure. Because when they do, and what is funny about the whole thing is this: there were people who, even in the National Assembly, because every time you look at the acts of even the Electoral Act that comes out, you always see a window or two that is left open just in case someone needs to squeeze through. It is not as if we couldn't get a perfect ironclad document, but there's always a window somewhere that is allowed for somebody to be able to say, you know what, if the beavers didn't work, so what? It doesn't matter. The law doesn't make it mandatory. So the question is, why don't you make it mandatory that if the beavers do not work, that election does not stand? If that comes to bear, things change. That means that it will be the mandate upon INEC to ensure that beavers work and they work real time will be there. And if that does not happen, the election is cancelled in that polling unit or in that county. So there's a lot to ensure that there is a synergy, and the judiciary needs to ensure that at every point in time, they deliver upon what is before them strictly as possible. So there is actually quite a lot to be done in recognizing the humanity of the individuals who sit on the bench, to make sure that the government gives them the wherewithal to be able to do the work that they need to do. There is going to be a constant need for refresher courses here and there to make sure that our lordships are given, refresher courses from time to time to ensure that, as the jurisprudence continues to evolve with how society is evolving today, whether it is in technology-wise or going beyond fossil fuels, that we're able to have the right kind of knowledge to be able to adjudicate upon the issues that come before them down the line. But generally speaking, I believe largely that the judiciary is a solid core, that it will not take so much. It won't take so much to be able to regain some of the lost ground. Do not forget that some of these conversations we're having are also because of what has happened in Kano, where it might not necessarily have been the judges themselves in court who made the clerical error. There will be people around them who, so it calls the question, who are those who are even supporting the judges to do the work that they need to do? So when you have individuals who are not at par or substandard, where the qualification to work in such capacities come to bear, you're going to have things like that. You're going to have regrettable situations like clerical errors in CTCs that is going to threaten to burn down a state like Kano. So
okay.
There are lots of variables down the line, but I believe that I still do believe that there are very good men and women that are seated on that bench, and their work that they do is so much. There's a lot of pressure out there. I cannot even overstate that.
I can remember when the I can remember there was a complaint from the judiciary that there are a lot of petitions, and then the justice system is getting tired of some of these petitions by the politicians who are angry about the outcome of elections. And just the way you have said it too, that there has been a lot of work when it comes to the judgment or the judicial system. But we just hope that at the end of it, just as we've been talking about regaining hope in the judicial system, that Nigerians will later on understand that everything that is happening, it is not probably from the judicial system or from the politicians, but it is something that we all need to look, or we all need to find a balance.
Yeah, exactly, and we really appreciate you for sharing such an informative, or giving your kind of informative contribution on this very topic, because the porous nature of the electoral system in Nigeria is something that we need to, seek light, and we need to know more about the Constitution, so that we won't be moving out of that balance. And thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate you and hope that you will join us whenever we call, sir. Thank you, sir. So
it was my pleasure being here.
Yeah, thank you, sir. So this is how we go on this segment, and when we return, we'll bring you business stories. Don't go nowhere.
Why you dey rush to go now?
See, I dey go my sister house, so now that baby, her pikin just dey cry all the time. Now so they cry, the pikin dey cry. Day before yesterday, the same thing. Yesterday they call me. Today they don't call me again. I don't tire.
The pikin dey sick.
I don't know. It just dey cry, one strong cry like this.
If it be say the child need to go for genotype test too.
Genotype test? Which one be that?
Genotype test. The one where they go take his blood sample, they go come test time if he gets AA,
okay,
AS, or even SS.
That one sound like something wey go expensive. Oh, man, I don't get money.
Titus, calm down. Now free of charge.
Free of charge? I beg, where if you do this thing?
If you're ready now, just walk into any primary health center. Ask them, say you want to do test, genotype test, they go do one for you.
My sister, thank you so much. I'm grateful.
Come on. The child don't reach 6 weeks.
Now 4 weeks this child be.
Okay. Make sure not do it before 6 weeks.
Before 6 weeks?
Yes, 0 to before 6 weeks.
0 to 6 weeks.
Free of charge.
Okay, no problem. Thank you very much. I'm grateful. God will bless you for me. Thank you. Okay.
This message now from the Center of Excellence for Sickle Cell Disease Research and Training, University of Abuja and Novartis.
Welcome to the business segment, and let's quickly take a look at some interesting stories from the world of business. First, the economic reform introduced by the new administration led by President Bola Tinubu is said to have negatively impacted the manufacturing sector's performance. The sector, which comprises of the oil refining, cement production, food and beverages, textile, pharmaceutical product production, rubber and plastic producing companies, etc., recently disclosed that the controlled devaluation of the naira in June by the CBN through the unification of the foreign exchange market remains a major contributor. In the third quarter of 2023, the real contribution of the manufacturing sector to Nigeria's GDP dropped to 8.42%, as notable manufacturing companies such as Dangote Cement, Noto and Bua Cement reported a combined foreign exchange loss of 129.811 billion naira. In a bid to assuage the pains of manufacturers after the subsidy removal, President Tinubu promised to provide 75 billion single interest loans to manufacturers and review the tax complaints from players in the industry. The president also said this earlier in his administration, set up the Presidential Committee on Fiscal Policy and Tax reforms, which has so far produced a quick win report. Hence, the real growth rate of the manufacturing sector in the third quarter of 2023 was 7.12%, which is higher than the preceding quarter by 1.72% in the third quarter. And interestingly, we have loans for manufacturers, so we don't have question of who are we going to run to. The federal government is open to everybody for you to ensure that we boost the economy. And to the next story, the Nigeria Bureau of Statistics says average price of 500 gram on sliced bread in Nigeria has risen by 52.69% in 1 year. And this one that Stante loves bread. According to the selected food price report for October 2023, the report shows that the price of 500 gram on sliced bread is 736.68 naira in October 2023 from 482.47 kobo recorded in the same month of the previous year. There is also an increase of 11.32% from the 661 naira 75 kobo recorded on the same quantity and type of bread in September of the same year. However, the report further discloses that the price of this bread was as high as 1,075 naira in Delta and as low as 500 naira 25 kobo in Yobe State in October 2023. Even though we buy bread in Lagos for 1,400, 1,800, 1,700 in Lagos now, and bread prices are reportedly a big contributor to Nigeria's soaring inflation rate, because you cannot talk about inflation without looking at what we eat, the food prices, transportation, and which is at an 18-year high of 27.33% in October. A component of food inflation in Nigeria, which is at 31.5%, is the rising cost of bread, according to the statistics from the NBS Consumer Price Index. And before we go, I need to talk about this, that the bread producer says because flour is expensive, they will continue to increase the prices of our bread. So, Tante, what would you say to bread producers in Nigeria?
Let me take it back to when you see people. This thing is going to affect almost everyone. Talking about people who love to eat bread, and talking about people who, before now, ate bread because they didn't have anything or they didn't have money.
Let me use this word, ready-made food. So that's bread. It is something serious.
Yeah.
When we are talking about bread, before you close, you will be preparing your mind that I'm buying bread from this place, I'm buying this brand, I'm buying bread from that woman selling very close to my house. So you have to put all of those things into consideration in this year.
And now you'll be like, I cannot eat this very bread that I love because it's very expensive. Now what else can I do, or what else can I buy? Going back to what I was trying to say, there are people who were eating bread or are eating bread because they love bread. And then there are people who were eating bread because that was something that was more affordable for them to eat. When you go to construction sites, you see most of these hard workers, what they do is, because they don't have time, you said it's a ready-made food, they just go to the stores, they just get to a shop, they just get pet drink and a bread, and they will eat. But right now, when you see somebody eating bread and get to drink, you'll be like, this person has money actually. So it is not funny on everyone, especially people who love to eat bread. There are people who can stay without eating bread, but please, we need these things to, be on the minimal. The increase in everything is just too high. Sometimes when I go to the market and they tell me prices of things, I get angry, and then they'll be like, no, be me, or it is not me. Don't worry, I know it's not you.
People keep blaming the government, that we need government intervention. Aren't we going to do something as people who love our country? Is it the government that tells you that, okay, from 1,200 increase it to 1,004? Fine, the producers will tell you that the prices of this the flour is so expensive, getting it to the factory and all of those things, but we still can have a regulatory body that looks into the prices of this products, especially something that has to do with consumption, feeding by everyone in the country, so that we will at a bit alleviate poverty and stress from people. And lastly, before we go, fortunately, Nigeria's oil industry shows some improvement in production as the average daily oil output turns 1.45 million barrels per day, and compared to its output in 2022, which was 1.20 mpd, and the second quarter of 2023, which was 1.22 mpd. The increase in production was by 0.25 mpd from last year's third quarter and by 0.23 mpd from second quarter this year. Now, looking specifically at the quarter-by-quarter performance, the oil sector in third quarter 2023 experienced a growth rate of 12.47%, which means that it saw a good expansion compared to the previous quarter. The real growth of the oil sector was 0.85% year on year, and in the third quarter, though, indicating an increase of 21.83% points relative to the rate recorded in the corresponding quarter of 2022. Growth also increased by 12.58% points when compared to second quarter 2023, which was 13.43%. On a quarter-on-quarter basis, the oil sector recorded a growth rate of 12.47% in the third quarter of 2023. The improvements seen in the oil sector in 2023 can be linked to several factors. And interestingly, federal government's commitment to enhancing the living conditions of people residing in the Niger Delta region is indeed commendable. And that brings me to the fact that the roundtable discussion, talking to the federal government, ensuring that we enjoy what we locally produce or was gifted to us by God, is what this present administration seems to be working on. And it brings me to the story of our First Lady that Ms. Tante will be gisting on about this morning.
Of course, and thankfully the oil sector is actually doing well. And before now, or let me say, the problem the oil sector has been having is insecurity and theft. But recently we have seen how this government has tried to see how they talked about the people living in Niger Delta, their security and their well-being and some of these things, and trust me, if the government does not look into the well-being of these people, theft will never leave.
Yes.
Because they will keep going there to steal from what is actually even supposed to be theirs, and then what is actually supposed to be for the nation. So we really, really commend the government for this thing they are doing. And talking about
the first
lady, we'll start the trending story actually with the first lady. Remi Tinubu spearheaded the launch of the rebranded Government Enterprises and Empowerment Program, now named the Renewed Hope MSME Program, aiming to provide significant support to micro, small and medium enterprises in Nigeria. This initiative offers interest and collateral-free loans to various small-scale traders, farmers and entrepreneurs, recognizing their role as fundamental pillars of the nation's economy and significant contributors to economic empowerment, particularly for vulnerable groups. Highlighting the importance of financial inclusion for MSMEs, the First Lady emphasized the program's rebranding and now resonating in native languages to ensure a deeper understanding and involvement, especially among women traders and farmers. The First Lady encouraged wise planning, financial discipline, strategic investment, and commitment to repayment for program beneficiaries. That last part is really important. Most people, this is a good initiative, but one thing I know is that sometimes people will be like, when they see this story, oh yes, it's even our own, so let's go and get it, and we will not even pay back the loan, because that money that the government is even giving us is our own money. Most times people say that, and at the end they don't pay back what the government is giving them, and most times these kind of things close up other opportunities, you know, that people can get. But it is a good thing that the government, they have been looking for ways to see how, since there is hardship in the country, people are complaining about the hardship, they are looking for ways to see how they are going to make, you know, this hardship reduce in the country. Now it is even a free, there is no, you can't, the loan has no collateral. Yeah. When what you get is what you're going to give back, but you should be able to make sure
that you multiply what has been given.
Yes, she talked about good planning.
Yeah, good planning. You see, for every money, you need to put have a plan in place, because if there is no plan, the money would not multiply. And it's not just about planning. I have an idea, how am I going to execute it, and all of those things. Are you properly well, the idea might have been properly conceived, but are you ready to put it into the hands of people that will execute it properly, people that will work on ensuring that you have the project, you know, done and open to people? Do you have a target for that plan already? Because for every plan with no target is as much as you wasting on your effort. Like somebody who wants to sell wig now, and you don't have female friends, you are not ready, you know, available on the social media platform. How would you, you know, sell this product? You need women to patronize you. You need to be up and doing, like go to offices where we have women. You have to be stable on the internet, especially Instagram. You know, you have to be there 24/7 just to make people feel your availability on the platform. And if you don't do those things, it's as much as you wasting your effort. And again, the First Lady has done something lovely and commendable, and in fact she changed the narrative of she's the one controlling this administration. You know, a statement from one of the clerics that said, I know Remi Tinubu is controlling this administration. Last week it was even on one of our dailies, and he said because of that we are not going to have a very good outcome from this present administration. But the Oba of Benin is saying that God ordained Tinubu, we are going to have something lovely, we are going to have something commendable, but we just hope to, you know, see it happen in this period of their reign as not a ruler but a leader.
You know, most times when I say this thing, people think it's because you're a woman, but anything a woman is putting her hands in will definitely be good. Okay, so we know that Remi Tinubu is going to do great for this nation. Let's go straight to the next story. The spokesperson of the Nigerian Police Force, Olu Muyiwa Adejobi, has revealed that the police will adopt technology in its operations from now on. Adejobi disclosed this in a statement issued via the official X handle of the police force. He revealed that the force was harnessing all available means to acquire assets and train its officials in line with international best practices. The police spokesperson stated that the introduction of digital platforms like digitalized CMR and police VGS would go a long way toward curbing crimes. I was thinking we're already in a technological, system. But well, thank God that the Nigerian police is thinking of going into the technological world, so that the crime rate and apprehending people trying to curb the crime will reduce. Going straight to the next story, one Sheyi Oduiga reportedly dies due to alleged torture by the Ogun State Police Command while in their custody. Reports made available to journalists by one of the deceased family members claimed that Oduiga was arrested during a police raid on November 18th at about 5 p.m. while he was charging his phone. He and others were taken to Awolowo Police Station in Shagamu, where he was accused of being involved in courtesan. However, sources in the area say that other suspected cultists arrested by the police denied that Odiga was involved in any cult activities. After being taken to the police headquarters in Eleweran 3 days after his arrest, his family was informed of his death. Now, the police command, speaking on the death of the alleged cultists, clarified that the deceased suspect was not tortured to death. Countering any such speculation, the suspect reportedly admitted to being part of the Buccaneer and Aye confraternities, with Sheyi stating he was initiated in 2015. The police says after some hours, Sheyi went insane, shouting, beating and assaulting other suspects in the cell unit. He got exhausted. Odutola says policemen were alerted and he was taken to the police hospital and later to Ijaye General Hospital, Abeokuta, along with other injured suspects. Other suspects were treated and discharged, but Sheyi, while on medical attention, later gave up the ghost. Every other allegation is hereby debunked, as the accurate position is what has been stated above.
You know, Tante, that brings me to the fact that even though the world is experiencing technological advancement, I still would not really applaud the Nigerian police for not adopting the use of technology in investigating matters. The traditional means of torturing people is kind of barbaric. When you have to beat someone and beat someone. Okay, let's use our children as example. Very babies. I mean, children from between the ages of 5 and 12. When you beat them and they can no longer take the strokes of the cane, they lie. They tell you, okay, I did it, and there is nothing you do. Okay, you did it really. Okay, then you will drop your cane, and
because you wanted them to tell you the truth.
He or she has said the truth, but because they can no longer endure the pain. If you beat someone, let me use the word to stupor. If you beat someone to stupor, the person will claim what he is not, and that is what we see happen to victims of circumstances, victims that falls as praise in the hands of these police officers. And that is why we need sensitization, reorientation. Who are these people investigating issues? Are they certified police officers? Did they really go through training? What is the government doing to ensure that they get a retraining for being a police officer? And also, it's not just about the federal police. What have we employed the state police to come conduct their own investigation? Who are the witnesses? at the scene of this incident. Okay, what do we have as a local proof? Is there CCTV there? Are we willing to go there over and over again just to ensure that we get the right and direct information? All of these things should be considered before beating somebody, torturing somebody, in fact arresting somebody. And there is this tradition in Nigeria: once you apprehend somebody and put them behind bars, they are already convicted. You know, you call them prisoners already. And this is why some people feel like, okay, instead of me saying that I'm not a prisoner, let me just pay if there's any fee for the bail, if there's any fee attached to this crime, let me just pay and go. And that is why we need the government to really step into this, and not just the government, experts on this fields and this field, and professionals, security professionals should work hand in hand with people in the law enforcing agency to ensure that we have justice for a common man, because that is what I would call justice for a common man. True, we were not there. I don't know if he actually committed the crime they said he committed, but having died in the custody of the police because he was tortured to death.
Well, let's not forget that the police just debunked the statement that they tortured him to death. Even though his sister came out to say after he was taken to the police station, they tried to see him, but they were not able to see him.
I've seen a case of somebody that was beaten by a scorpion because she was put, behind bars and waiting for somebody to just, come for her and all of this, and she was beaten by a scorpion, and that actually led to her death. Okay, what do you have to say to that? Was there a proper investigation before even locking her behind bars? Things like that should be, done, a proper check. Before you put someone even inside the prison.
Some other suspects that were taken alongside the Sheyi actually confirmed that he is not a member of the group, according to what his sister said. But now the police is coming out to say he agreed to the fact that he was initiated in 2015.
And the prominence of the case, the prominence of the person involved in a case matters also, because people, cultists will want to, let's look at Dashe. Is he from a rich background? Does he have brothers or sisters that can, easily help him out of the case? And this is why people like that will always, lie against somebody like Sheyi.
Coming from a rich background is out of it, because he was charging his phone somewhere, I think, when he was.
Yeah, I'm just using that citing as an example. Somebody that has been nabbed now, we want to use the prominence of someone to, release himself from a petty case or a serious case, because this is what most of those guys do. But anything that has to do with crime should be dealt with by criminal professionals.
Okay, and now they said they took him to the police. They took him to the court on Thursday, and when they came back from the court, I think the court didn't do the sitting anymore. They said they were going to reschedule the sitting. So when they came back, that was on Thursday, and they were supposed to take him back on Friday. So after they came back, he was in his cell, I think, and the next thing he just went off. He started shouting. According to the reports of the police, he started shouting, beating places, hitting people, injuring people, injured himself too. Before they took him out, they took him to the police station, and they took him to the hospital.
Traumatized, emotionally downtrodden. Anything could have happened to him. Let's not look at it from the spiritual angle that, okay, maybe he is because a member of the cult group, they don't want him to speak, and they will just use the kind of jazz, like we see it happen in Africa Magic and all of those things, But
the question now here is, what really happened? Why did he go, acting that way? We do not know, but the investigation is still ongoing.
Yes, the committee must look into that.
Definitely, so that at the end, his sister is calling for justice for Sheyi right now. We've been hearing about cases of justice for this person, justice for that person, and I hope that at the end, they really do get the justice they deserve.
And we call also justice for food inflation, justice for bread, justice for rice.
All right, you said I love bread, but I think you love bread more than the way I do. We've been talking about bread. And this is all we have for you on the program this morning. Thank you so much for watching. Mariam, do you have something to say today?
Nothing much, but stay true to yourself. Do not go to places that you are not invited. And please steer clear anything that has to do with police or soldiers, because before you know it, anything can just happen to you. My name is Miriam. See you on Wednesday.
All right. Anything can actually just happen. But just as Miriam said, you should stay safe. Please don't go to anywhere you're not invited. Trust me, because don't go and buy what you cannot pay for.
Yes.
Thank you so much for watching Alive this morning, and we will see you on Wednesday.